The mountain town of Greystone was the kind of place where rumors lived longer than the people themselves. For as long as anyone could remember, children whispered about the old library at the end of Pine Hollow Road. The building had been closed for decades, its windows boarded up, its roof sagging under the weight of forgotten years. No one dared go near it after dark. The stories always started the same way. Strange lights flickering through the cracks of its boarded windows, even though the building had no power. Old folks muttered that the library was cursed, that it kept records no man should ever read. Teenagers laughed at the tailies in daylight, but when night came, none of them were bold enough to test the truth. None except 4 friends. Ethan, Marcus, Claire, and Jenna had grown up together, spending summers daring each other into abandoned barns, caves, and ruined farmhouses. But the library, this was different. Its reputation was untouchable. Yet one September night, under a pale harvest moon, Ethan said the words that none of them could ignore. "Let's go inside, tonight." Marcus grinned, eager to prove his bravery. Claire hesitated, but didn't want to look weak. Jenna, quiet and nervous, begged them to reconsider. Still, as always, the group stuck together. By midnight, they were standing in front of the sagging doors of the Greystone Library, flashlights trembling in their hands. The air around the building felt wrong, too still, too heavy. The boards on the windows rattled in a wind that didn't exist. With a final shove, Ethan pushed the door open. It groaned like something alive, and the 4 stepped inside. Dust filled the air, and their lights swept across rows upon rows of books. The shelves loomed like dark sentinels, stretching deeper than they should have. The place smelled of paper and mildew, but underneath was something sharper like old iron. "This isn't so bad," Marcus whispered, though his voice cracked. They walked deeper, their footsteps muffled on the faded carpet. And then Jenna froze. "Guys, look." On a table in the center of the room lay 4 books, thick, leather-bound, and dusty, yet strangely untouched by time. Each bore a single name on its spine: Ethan, Marcus, Claire, Jenna. No one moved. The silence pressed in until Marcus forced a laugh. "It's just a joke. Someone planted these here," but his voice betrayed him. Who could have known they were coming tonight? Ethan, curiosity burning, reached for his book. His hands shook as he opened it. The first pages described his childhood in perfect detail, things no one else could have written. His first broken bone, his mother's lullaby, the fight he had with Marcus at 13. Page after page, his entire life was laid out with frightening accuracy. The others grabbed their books, flipping through in disbelief. Each detail matched down to words spoken, secrets confessed, even thoughts they had never voiced aloud. This isn't possible," Claire whispered. Her eyes were wide, her hands trembling as she turned page after page. Then she gasped. At the back of each book were blank pages, except the final few. And those pages described what was yet to come. Ethan's breath caught as he read. He stands in the abandoned library, the flashlight flickering, as something cold breathes against his neck. His light sputtered. The beam dimmed, then flared again. The others turned, startled, and Ethan went pale. I felt something," he stammered. Jenna snapped her book shut. "We shouldn't be here. We need to leave, now." But Marcus, stubborn as always, kept reading. His face drained of color. "It says, I'm going to die tonight. Right here." The others froze. Claire shook her head. "Don't read it." "Don't?" But Marcus was already scanning the lines, his voice hollow. A shadow falls from the shelves. A hand pulls him into the dark. Before anyone could react, something shifted above them. A shape detached itself from the top of the shelves, black, formless, yet heavy with malice. Marcus barely screamed before it dropped onto him, dragging him between the rows. His flashlight hit the floor and rolled, its beam spinning wildly until it landed on nothing but dust. Marcus was gone. Claire screamed. Ethan grabbed her, pulling her toward the door, but it slammed shut with a deafening crack. The bookshelves groaned, wood bending as though alive. The library was no longer just a building, it was a cage. "Open it! Open it!" Jenna cried, slamming her fists against the locked doors. But Ethan's eyes darted back to his book. The words were changing, letters etching themselves across the page in real time. He tries the door, but it will not open. The library does not let them leave. He dropped the book, heart racing. "It's writing as we move." Claire was sobbing, clutching her own book. "Mine says I'm next," she whispered. Something shuffled in the dark behind them. Claire's flashlight flickered, then died. Her scream was cut short as the darkness swallowed her. The sound of tearing pages filled the silence, as though her life itself had been ripped apart. Jenna collapsed to her knees, trembling. "It's true. It's all true. We can't stop it." Ethan grabbed her shoulders. "Don't read it. Don't let it control you." But Jenna shook her head. Her book lay open on the floor, and her wide eyes were locked on the final line. "It says, I'm going to set fire to this place." Even as she spoke, her hands moved on their own, pulling a lighter from her pocket. She flicked it to life, her face pale and wet with tears. "No, Jenna, stop." Ethan shouted, "I can't. I don't want to die like Marcus or Claire," she whispered. "At least this way." The flame caught on a stack of dry papers. In seconds, fire roared up the shelves, devouring old books. Smoke choked the air. Ethan pulled Jenna toward the door, but the building groaned like a living beast. The shelves collapsed, books tumbling like bodies. Through the smoke, Ethan saw his book on the floor. Its final line glowed, freshly written. He runs for the door as the fire consumes the library. He almost makes it. The door burst open. For a heartbeat, hope surged in his chest. He dragged Jenna through, coughing, gasping for air. But then he felt that a hand, cold and skeletal, closing around his ankle. He screamed as he was yanked backward, Jenna's hands slipping from his grasp. The last thing he saw was her terrified face disappearing in the smoke as the library swallowed him whole. By morning, the Greystone Library was nothing but ash and charred stone. Firefighters said it was a miracle anyone escaped. Jenna never spoke of what happened inside. But in the ruins, among the ashes, investigators found a single untouched book lying open. On its final page, a single sentence was written in black ink. "Her story is not finished."